Okay, we're going to be up on TikTok, or I already am, but it's at Mudfossil University, all one word. And I'm going to put up little tiny clips, just a few pictures, just so you can get an idea of what the deep stuff is, and then come back here for the deep stuff on YouTube. Very short things on TikTok, but we'll be up there fixing the thing up. It's just getting started. There's no details, there's no pictures or anything up there yet. But it's at Mudfossil University, so here we go. Okay, my friends, I've been studying the mud fossils for many years, and it's been dismissed and denied, and, you know, I just want people to have the ability to think about this. So what I'm going to be showing you now is all of this stuff, and also what the impact is on academia. And it's not good for academia now. If they had embraced this when it was first brought to them and said, wow, we really never considered this, because this is something the human mind just has never considered. The human eye has never seen. You can't open your eyes big enough until you realize, and then you can't close your eyes. But some can. And unfortunately, they're the ones that are telling us what we have to say to be considered intelligent. So it's not going to go well for academia because of their intransigence. And that was the key. All I ever wanted to do was say, look at this, take a look at it. I'm glad they didn't, because it drove me to this depth of research that has led me to understand, hopefully, eternity. There is so much to learn here, and it's all related to these ancient texts. They have to start to engage in this. If you're going to go to school, I have no issue whatsoever. If you go for a trade or learn how to program, or, you know, electronics, or, you know, physics isn't right now. It needs to be worked on. And the dipole electron flood theory basically solves physics 100%. Gravity, you know, light, particle physics, or the whole thing. So there's a lot of issues with mainstream science because they will not address anything that upsets their little apple cart. And it's the top guy syndrome. There's going to always be one guy that you have to go to. And in the case of the mud fossils, it was Derek Briggs. I contacted a bunch of people. Said, oh, no, you're right down the street from me. I'll talk to Derek Briggs. I said, okay. And that was a nightmare, absolute nightmare. And it's not just a nightmare for, you know, to me, I'm kind of glad that he rejected it so arrogantly, because it set me off. And I said, no, that's not going to happen, my friend. And the arrogance was, you could cut it with a knife, but it would have to be a very, very, very sharp knife. Anyway. All right, my friends, I've been complaining about the disaster about Yale for years. This is what they did. They just renamed geology and geophysics, and they showed a picture of the mud fossils. They know what they did, and they're trying to ease themselves into this. This is what I've been showing for years, 15 years. And the first 5 or so was with Yale. Please look at this. Please look at this. Please look. No. They refused, and then they took credit for my work by saying that these things do turn into stone, but they're just slimy little creatures. There was no big things like I show. Like there was no bones. Even at the time they say, well, let me just show you something. Okay, my friends, I got called away, but as I recall, I have already shown you these balls were everywhere, and they are called the Moki marbles and all that stuff right here. Now these have eroded and all washed down into a little gully, and all of the flesh has, you know, collected around it. Normally this would have been a layer of flesh, and that's the basement layer. That's the tough stuff that's underneath, so you can move around, but you need to have floppy stuff on top, and that's what this is. Now those balls are here, and they're eroding. I mean, they're you know, thawing out. These were biology. They were, and they're edible. That's why. That's why all that green stuff is growing. Now, the second thing about this is that green stuff has to be built into the balls. It absolutely must be. Every single one of them is, and I'm talking a lot of balls. We got balls coming out of the walls. We got balls everywhere on every wall. All right? And the only other colored ones in here are blood. That's like a chunk. These are chunks of really red blood. As this thing thaws out, though, every ball, 100% of them have this. And every one of them is going to turn into a milky marble after the green stuff eats everything that's edible. Here's what they look like inside. Here's what a ball is. All this stuff is eating it. There's no roots. It eats them, and they actually roll. You see how that's turned like this? Back off a little bit and look at it. It actually will roll this way, and that's getting greener and greener, and this is less green, and it will go this way, and it'll just keep going around in a circle. They say they move, and they do, and they move in a herd, facing the sun. It's obvious when you understand what's in the middle is something edible. And that's what they're living off of, and that's why they're living fine up there on the ice as they come out and erode. These creatures were just staggeringly large, and this is the problem. Now, if academia had addressed this, we could be understanding things. Well, you know what? I'm going to show you why they stopped, why they won't address it. You see this? This is a giant. That's a giant no-toe. That would have been wrapped up, I think, and the toes have eroded, so they're in there. I don't know, that might have had toes. You see that? That's the bone at the top. And where the moss is growing is where the red blood was. You know, they all have a bone that comes down like this one here. You see where that shadow is? And then you have the fibula sits here, and on this one the fibula would sit here, or maybe it's on the other side. It's hard to tell. But every one I have has them, and every one that everybody else has found has them, and there's been a lot of them found. You know, here's some right here. You see this? This is the bottom, and that was just like in the ground. She picked it up, Tish. And there's another one. You can't really tell much that it's a foot. There's another one with toes. You see this one here? Check this out. You see that? That bump in the back? That's this, basically, upside down, and eroded enough where you can see that ball. And you say, well, why would I have a ball there? Well, because that's what all feet have. And we're going to go over to the other computer in a second, but you see this? You see the ball? There it is right there. You got one on your foot too. Whoops. All right, this is a very detailed anatomy book. And anyway, we're going to go back to, let's just take another few minutes here, and then I will tell you why academia is so against this. It hurts them now. If they had engaged years ago, they could say, wow, we never knew about this. It opened up all new avenues of exploration, but it would have shown that they were wrong and that the God is real. More than likely, I mean, I'm going with it 100%, and Jesus also 200%. And this is what I think. Well, I know it does, because the first thing was an attack that I must be a flat earther, what was it, a creationist, and all these things. And you know, this was at the time when Mary Schweitzer was being brutally attacked by academia for her finding soft tissues. And mine, here, like I just showed you that one there, and the ball on it, and I showed you, I think, all of this stuff up here. And now somebody asked me if this has 6 toes. I don't think so. This is a heel stone at Stonehenge. Heel stone, it had a twin stone, so there's 2 feet. It's a monument to a giant. But these toes, is there 6 or 5? I think I got 5. And you see these little dots at the end? Those are called the digital terminus, which I just coined. And that's where the blood comes down and turns around and comes back. And these, all your digits have them, your fingers and your toes. And the blood comes down, it's supposed to come back unless you smash your finger, and I don't think it stays there for a while. But this is what you got. Toe, toe, toe. You know, if you want to come back and look at this careful, but on each end, there's these 2 bits. Now there's 2 here. I would say probably 2 here. So that could be 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going with 5. Anyway, that's a heel stone. And that's another thing. Oh, yeah, it's just another rock out in the... Unbelievable. Okay, my friends, I'm going to try to be as reasonable as I can be, but I am heated. They're correct. There's going to be heated debate within the academic community as new evidence is carefully scrutinized. And I have all the evidence, and it says if this was proven true with the evidence that I have, academia and scientific fields demanding a rethinking of the fundamental basics, the basic concepts of geology, biology, human history, and then all the other things that flow from that, which is God, religion, the basis of the universe, life. Where did it all come from? All of this is debated in Mudfossil University because it's open university. You can speak up, you can talk. The professors will not destroy you for your comments, other than the one thing that is a destroyer of mud fossils is that it was linked to flat earth, which says there's no space, there's no this, there's no that. And once you hear that, you just laugh at me because they linked it to me. Now, and I just did one about flat earth. Please don't do that here. I'm not going to have it because it makes my research look silly. My research is evidence-based. It's scientific. It's specimens. It's DNA. It's CAT scans. It's biology. It's ancient texts. It's history. It's serious. Now, this other nonsense about we can't get off the globe and all this, it's done. All right, so please, I don't want to be nasty. I know that you love God and you don't like academia for their dismissal of God and their rejection. I mean, a literal rejection. You go there with that kind of an attitude, you are not going to do well, I can tell you that. So I understand you want God back in your life, but it's not by making a fool of yourself, saying that there's no rockets, there's no space station, everybody in the world has got a conspiracy against... I mean, please, I don't want to get into that deep. All right, that's the end of that. Now, that's the impact on academia. So they made me into a pseudoscience guy, refused to examine, and said he's a crazy guy, he's a God guy, he's a flat earth guy, he must believe the sky is solid, there's a dome over the earth and it's flat. And they assaulted me in that manner, which destroyed my research. So let's move on to the actual research because it's factual. It's not a denial. Theirs is denial. Their research is, no, don't look at it, because we can't look at it because it'll screw us up. And it's going to, yes, because they didn't look at it in the beginning. If they'd have looked at it, it would have opened a whole batch of doors, and they still would have looked like heroes. But that's a thing of the past. Now, look at this. I think I was going to call these no-toes. And this one here, they are no-toes, and I think there's several different styles. But this one has a built-in sole. So I'm going to call this one Soul Man. And he's got a spring in here too, I believe, and that's the pin that the spring rocks on. And there's two little engagement points as you go forward. It sort of rocks backwards and the spring would load against the sole. So Soul Man would get a little spring in his step. Boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. And this side would do the same thing. That's why you got these wrinkles. Bada boom, bada boop, bada boop, and the whole thing would rock on here, chickadoop, chickadoop, and that's why you have this. And that's where the bone would have come down. It had basically the same kind of leg as ours, I would assume. So anyway, there's that, and there's the giants. And this one here is, I have this right on my property. It's huge, 3 feet wide about here, 4 feet up here. I have the fingertips, I have knuckles, I had one of them CAT scanned, I've had a DNA test, well, I had a bunch of CAT scans, just one fingertip from this one, but I had 7 CAT scans done, and this was one, and this was the fingertip. This is looking at the back of it, oh no, I have it here. Oh, jeez. This is it right here. Now, that's the bone. This part's broken off so we can, all I want you to see is this, and then I'll move down to this. That's the fingertip. It's just like your fingertip. And that's where the apical tuft is. I drilled a hole in there to get some DNA out of here. And it's 100% human. Well, mitochondrial. Mitochondria is a little bit of a thing that's in a cell. And that it's not really human DNA, but it resides in the human cell. So if you find that mitochondrial DNA, which is from the mother's side, you know you have a human. And that's all I asked for. I said, I want to know if it's human. I don't want to know anything else. I want to know, is it human, and from what type of species, if you can help, if you can find it. And he said, yes, it ended up being the mitochondrial DNA, which is that from that little DNA section, which is not the human DNA, but it is DNA that resides in the human cell. And that turned out to be Homo sapiens DNA. And that's the mother side. And it was there was two regions, the B region and the D loop, something like that. Anyways, and there's the apical tuft. Anybody that's a real doctor would know that. And there's one that's completely eroded. I got so much of this stuff on my property, it's just unbelievable. And that's where it would sit. This is from the same hand, I'm sure, because some of it was really good shape, and some of it was so eroded. Like, hold on, I got a knuckle here somewhere. Here it is. This is from the same hand. That's the bone. And that's the bone right there on your, that big one right out there. All right? This is the tendon. You see that tendon? That's this tendon right here. And it goes like flat like a pancake. Now it broke right off at the bone. You see the bone is here? Right there is where the bone would have come back this way, and it broke. This is muscle wrapped around that bone ball. So this was part of the same thing. Oh, this would sit way at the end. Oh man, I'm getting weak. Anyway, that's that one, and I showed you the fingertip and the hand. Well, anyway, fingertip. This is a tendon. That's a tendon. The two different colors are because of the blood. That's the bone. Now the tendon. Wait a minute. Hold on. Oh, here's the palm. I don't know if I showed you this. Like I say, I got interrupted, but that's the cleave right in between yours. You have the same thing. This pad comes around. You've got a tendon that comes down right here. The pad comes down this way to the little finger. The thumb goes that way. This is, again, this is from the same hand, DNA tested. This skin, the silver stuff, is what's called grip skin, and it peels right off like a big rubber glove on your hand and your feet. And it's made to just peel off. It's grip skin, friction skin, they call it a couple different names. This is the tendon. Runs right up to the big bump right here. There's a bone right here. Everything turns to stone, or mud, basically mudstone. There's a little complex of things going on right here at the edge of your hand. Now, so that's the hand, the fingertip, and the bone ball, and all that I just showed you came from. And again, DNA tested, CAT scan. What else? Well, this shows you the fingernail where it was. Now, this is it. I had 3D and 2D done. 2D is this. That gives you 2 dimensions. 3D, it goes, the slices inside. The slices inside, you don't see a whole lot, although you could see enough to see the bone shadow. That's about it, because everything transitions. So this right here is where the fingernail bed was. You see it? Take your time and look. And that little hook over here is where tendons lock in. You see that hook? You can't, I got it wrapped up here, but there's a hook right here. And tendons lock right in here, so your fingertip can do all that stuff. I had to put this wrap around here, otherwise I'll lose that piece. Now that one's my small one. This is the little one. The and this again, DNA tested. And this, the big one, is right here. That's 3 feet long. From the very back here to the tip of the front of the fingertip, it's 3 feet long. You see it? Now, this right here is the fingernail. Just take your time and look and see how perfect it is. I mean, it really was very nicely taken care of, it looks to me. Probably better than mine. And it was a bit flawless. The only thing, you see that little top? It had flaked off a little bit. But that's like, you know, like, well, you know what a fingertip is. It's layered. So that layer stayed and some of it flaked off. Now, but you can't get blood out of this. You can't get blood out of any of this. None of that. So what I had to do was smash this off, which I did. And it has actually got the fingerprints on it, and I just extracted basically almost like raw blood. I've gotten a lot of them, just blood bubbling right out of them. So when I took it out, it was excellent quality. He said, there's no question it was from there. He said it was dense and excellent quality. It's right on the report. And this little circle right here is where the bone bumps into it's got a little pad in between to cushion it. And your vein and artery coming up. And that piece, again, I broke that off. And that is right here. All right, once again, take your time. Take your time. What are you seeing? Well, there's what my thumb is. This was the piece I broke off of that big thing and snapped right off at the edge. Boom. That's the edge right there. Just like yours, if you look, you're going to have your fingerprints right next to that edge. And here's the fingerprints. Started right off right here. And that's the sweat pores. You see these? Boom, boom. Those are the sweat pores. Once again, take your time. Don't get crazy. Those are the sweat pores, and these are the print ridges. And it's just starting to take off from here. And they swirl around and do all kind of crazy things. That's how you get fingerprints. Now, down here, it's saturated with blood. This is just, look, it's like a rubber glove. And that's what this is. When I smacked it, it just popped off. It popped off right at that layer. And I was right down into the blood. You see what it is? You see how much blood is in a fingertip? These are fingertips. And they have 2 little dots at the end on all of them. Your fingers and your toes all have the same thing. They have 2 dots at the end. They have a vein, an artery coming down, a vein coming back. It's now called the digital terminus. I coined that phrase because it is. It's the terminus of all your blood comes down your arms and your legs. I mean, it comes in and out of every other place in your body too. But the last final point at the end of your terminus, which terminus means the end, the final destination, it turns around and comes back. And these are the digits, your fingers, tips, and your toes, digits. Now, so that's that. Now, let me gather my thoughts. Well, there's like several different types of no-toes, or feet anyway. This is a double spring. This is the double spring action. You know, I don't know if this is an upgrade from this one or not. I think this was just a single spring. You see this one here? Can you see that? Yes. Again, take your time. Look at that little circle. You see that little circle right there? And then you see this, and it would bump right up here. You can actually see it wraps around and bumps right into here. If this was pushed up, and it looks like it's a little ball, almost like a roller, and there's another one laying on top of that one, and they both have springs. So if you stepped on this, that spring would twist this way. You know, if it had some kind of twistable tension to it, and I think they did. You can see it right here. One would lift up just a little bit every now and then, but if you were really hit, this one would be pushed up by this one. This one would push up, force this one up, and you get a double spring within a single spring. Now, Tish found this one, and here's the heel, And there's the strap, there's the saddle, just like this saddle right here. And she's got a double set of springs. This, I think this is totally different. And I have this stuff here in my shop. She sent it to me. And this is the heel strap, and that's the calcaneus bone. And there's that little jobber down the bottom, which is a tough spot, just like I have here. You see it? That's that tough spot right there. This had one of these too. This had a calcaneus, or that's what they call it, the calcaneus. This is the Achilles tendon. And this is a strap that runs right up to the bone that comes down, called the tibia. And hold on, let me show you. Here it is. Here it is right here. You see it? That's what they call the Achilles tendon, or the other name, calcaneus heel bone. So it's either way. Well, I guess that's actually to go, let's go two ways with that. There's the actual bone, the heel bone, which is there on tissues. And then there's the Achilles tendon. I don't know. Let's see. No, the Achilles tendon comes behind. This is something I got to look at. I didn't know. I didn't see. This is what I love about doing this. Let me see if I can find where the Achilles tendon inserts. Hold on. This is going to be fun. Wow. I am seeing it. This is incredible. All this time and I missed this. It's the back of the heel bone there. And I'm going to show you in the other shot. But it's that little spot right there. And that's that spot that hangs right over the top of the bone. You see it? What we're going to be looking at is this right here. Now see that little circle right there? And how it creeps over the top of the bone up to, you know, a little over the top of the roundness of the bone. And then it goes up from here. Well, ours is broken off right here. Now, I don't have as good a shot as I want, but I'm going to show you. Well, actually, I have the thing here. I should put it in a microscope. All right, I'm almost 100% sure that would have had an Achilles tendon coming straight up here, and this was that little bumper spot that it bumps into. You see the difference? You see the little curl there? Can you see that? It's very apparent to me now. Two different types of material with that abrupt transition between the two of them. That's that little circle spot, and it's some kind of material that the other is not. This, I believe, is the tendon, and this is the gooey part. All right, so let's look at the other one, the anatomical. Boy, it doesn't get any clearer than that. I showed you that little lumpy looking thing, and then the tendon coming down, and it was broken off right there. So it gave us a little bit of a lump over the top of the bone. Now let's go back and look at it again. Don't forget that little spot. It's just undeniable as far as I'm concerned. You know, obviously remember the strap coming up. You see where the strap comes up and attaches to the bone right there? And the tissues is broken off. Now remember, this is going to be under extreme tension. When a tendon breaks, it will have a wrinkle zone at the very tip of it where it snaps. And you get this wrinkle zone at the top and the bottom. Now let me show you where that is on tissues. All right, check this out. That's the bone. That's the strap. It would have attached to the bone coming down. It was under extreme tension. It snapped. It snaps right here. We're going to look at it in a second. That is the tendon. And that's that little other type of tissue that allows it to bump back and forth. It looks like, to me, it's like a shock absorber or something. But it's quite apparent to me right now what we got going on there. Now, I talked about the abrupt transition and the wrinkle zone. That's right there. That again is that's the little heel lump, just like this, that gives you a really hard hit on, bang, like that. Now, let's look at the abrupt transition and the wrinkle zone. You see these little dots here? You see how nice and flat it is here? And there's no wrinkly looking stuff here. It's all gooey and wrinkly looking. All right, you can see it quite easily. Extreme difference in transition. And it's quite obvious, and the reason is that's the wrinkle zone, because it was under tension. There was normally like a rubber band, and it goes snap, boing, and these get tiny, you know, they get all scrunched up. Precisely what you see. Now, I've gone over the mechanism of this spring mechanism many times. I studied this for few years, and what it does is it twists this way, it pulls this in, that pulls this in because it's tagged up here, so you got one set of springs, and that pulls a second set of springs, so you got a double spring mechanism when it just lays back down all by itself. There's a bumper here, there's a latch here, and a spring coming around up to that. Click, pulls that in, you got a cavity in here. It works perfect. It's a pretty nice design. Now this one I think is different. I think this one has one set of springs. Although they're just like two sets, but they're built into one. You know, this is I don't know. And they all come together with, see this? I thought this was like the Michael Jordan edition or something. Had a medallion on the front, you see it? When I saw that, I said, what the hell is that? And what it is all the fabric comes around, and it locks it in right there. All that fabric is gathered and comes right in. And it's all nice and gooey. Well, I don't know gooey, but at least it can flex. And I found the blood spots, the vein and the artery in this. Every one I found has red blood. Every single one. No exceptions. For the stuff I found. So anyway, whoops, hold on. Oh, I forgot to mention, Jesus said, whoever has come to know the world has discovered a carcass. Whoever has discovered a carcass of that person, the world is not worthy. He also said, we come from the light. Jesus said, if they say to you, where have you come from? Say to them, we have come from the light. From the place where the light came into being by itself, established itself, and appeared in their image. If they say to you, is it you? Say, we are its children. We are the chosen of the living Father. There's a lot of light. We're chosen. That's pretty special. If they ask, what is the evidence? Say to them, it is motion and rest. Light can move, or it can just settle. It's the same particle. And he starts it right off. This is the Gospel of Thomas, Nag Hammadi text, buried in the ground at the time of Jesus in these caves. Just discovered 1945, unaltered for 2,000 years plus. And Jesus said, these are supposedly the written words, and there's a bunch of them. I think there's like 50 different actual books. And they hid them because they know they destroy them, because they wanted to wipe that religion out. And Jesus was for real. As far as I'm concerned, I see absolutely no evidence whatsoever to say that he's not real. Now, these were his scribe, wrote 114 sayings. Some of them are very disturbing and very impossible to understand. But he started right off. He says, if you understand the interpretation of these sayings, you'll not taste death. Now, interpretation is a little vague. It means, how do you feel about this? Reach your own interpretation is the way I'm working it, because there's no way you can understand this, a lot of them. There's no way. It's impossible. Now, he also said, those who seek, and some won't seek. Who cares? Go on your own way. But if you're going to seek, do not stop seeking until you find. When you find, you will be disturbed, and when they are disturbed, they will marvel and will reign over all, and after they have reigned, they will rest. Whatever that part means, I can tell you what, disturbed and marvel, absolutely. And he says, know what's in front of your face, and what is hidden from you will be disclosed to you. There's nothing hidden that will not be revealed. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm bringing things up that nobody's ever known about, ever that I know of. And Jesus came here to say, you better pay attention to these things that will come up, and they're going to prove the things that I've been saying. And at that point, probably pretty soon they're going to close the case on this, and you're going to go wherever you go. That's the way I'm looking at it now. And that's why academia is so upset about this, because we want to find our eternity. And we're trying to see if is this God thing valid, Jesus thing valid. And I'll just give you my own personal opinion on it. Jesus is exactly as advertised, and there is some form of a master creator that created this stuff. Where he came from, I don't know. How he did it, I don't know. Where he is now, I don't know. Or is it just one big thing that's God, and everything is God, and we're just a little molecule in God's body? Where did God come from? Nobody can answer some of these things, so don't think I have the answers. I do not. I have a lot of questions, but I do have a lot of answers too, and those answers will not be addressed by the people that we have to repeat what they say. And they know now they're not right. It's not like there's a question about this. The question is, what will Trump advance do about this? It's up to them to restore truth and religion. You know, that's what they've been talking about. It's up to them to stand up. I have no power whatsoever, no authority, no power, nothing. I am literally blocked from the rest of the world at this point because I stood up. You can't stand up without getting in trouble. You know, if I want to go out and try to make a living now, they think I wouldn't even get a good job probably, because they look me up and they say, the guy's a freaking nutcase. And because academia has portrayed me in this way. Instead of looking at the information, they have decided to destroy me, and did an absolutely fabulous job. And they did it by proxy. That means that they set out to say, this guy's crazy because he thinks the earth is flat, and he thinks there's giants, and he thinks there's dragons. But the flat earth part was the part that killed me, because there's no question whatsoever about that. So it made me seem like an idiot, but I kept saying, no, that's not me. They're just joining on because they want to prove God. But by doing that, you made it so that God became a laughingstock. And I'm sorry. I understand how you feel. It's just that it just doesn't work that way. You can't just make something up because you want it to be that way. You think your book was written and says the earth is flat. It's on 4 pillars. There's a glass dome over it. There's no space. There's no planets. Everything's fake. No. So I don't care if you believe that. It has no effect on me whatsoever until you affect me by being on my channel and starting big arguments about that. And it's very fanatical group, and it's not going to happen here. So I'm just warning you. I did another video, and I said this is just not going to continue. So it's up to you how you want to handle that. All right, I love you all. Thank you. Goodbye.